For our standard deck today, we've got a bit of a brew/viewer submission here. We've got both Tainted Adversary and Intrepid Adversary as reasonable threats early that scale into the late game as we hit our land drops thanks to their paying extra mana abilities. Then we've got some things like Bereaved Survivor here, as well as Can't Stay Away to bring these back into play to give us value in the late game. These notably are not kicker costs, they're enters play triggers. And so if you bring them back with something like Can't Stay Away or the attack trigger on Dauntless Avenger, we get to pay the mana to get these extra effects back. Past that, we just got a bunch of good black-white cards, disruptive things like Spellbinder and Vanishing Verse and Duress. We've got some protection for our threats with Rebirth and Professor's Warning. So let's go ahead and dive on into some games with this and see how it feels in Standard. For Unite today, I'll be trioing with my wife, Christy, and then Red Boxer from the Subs Discord. Not enough land, so I suppose this is a spell. I'm interested to see if this card feels playable at any point. Definitely looks a little bit low on the power level scale. Spending 4 mana to get a 4/4. I guess you draw a card when you do it too. Is some noted upside. Yeah, without removal, we're probably just dead to the double Luminarch start here. So Duress, not so good against mono white. Thirst and extra verses, great against mono white. They probably aren't actually killing a lot of my stuff, so Can't Stay Away is probably not very good. Bring in a couple of Fateful Absence. Let's give this a try. this is fine. We'll lead on Rebirth on 1 for a tap black land. And this will be a spell. The lack of aspirants in our deck is probably a mistake. The card's just so good. Lacking a second black to be able to kick this here. The Luminarch just gonna get to run away with the game here again. This is just like one of the best cards you can have in these board stall aggro mirrors. Rather swift and decisive 2-0-2 there. I mean, if it happens again, if what happens again, if we like flood out and die while also simultaneously missing a color of mana, I don't know if that really warrants going back to the drawing board. Is that an untapped snarl, or are you just happy to see me? Can't stay away, fam. I mean, our opponent had a card that if you don't answer it, it runs away with the game. And we didn't have any of our half a dozen removal spells for it 2 games in a row. Like, yeah, like there were answers in our deck. Like, we just like this game, right? Like, do we go back to the drawing board after this game where I keep a hand with 2 or 3 spells and then just like never draw another spell? No, probably not. Like the question of when you're deck tuning, asking yourself, do I need to make changes here, isn't just a matter of asking yourself the question of, did what happened, like, was I outclassed? It's also a matter of asking yourself the really important question of, is what happened in this game an average case scenario or a not average case scenario? Should I expect this to happen more, or was it potentially a fluke? The only way to use like straight empirical evidence to make informed decision is to have sample sizes that are larger than you're going to generate. Burning down the house. Ooh. And like even here, right? Like you can say, well, Jeff, you have cards that are a little bit weak like this here, but like any aggro deck, like they just have like interaction into card advantage into sweeper, like that's gonna beat most aggressive decks, right? We switched to standard, Steve. I did exile because can't stay away says if this creature would die, exile it instead when you bring it back. That'll be real fun to track in paper. Yay! Aldruin's Epiphany. Yeah. Yeah, brewing in standard is Historic's a brewing format for the next week at a minimum. Chat, we played against like a bunch of people playing green-white enchantments today in Historic. People always just screw around for a little while after format changes. Why a week? Because eventually people get bored of losing while they try new things and want to just play good decks and win the game. How Epiphany was protecting standard from real problem cards like Blood on the Snow. People be crazy, man. This is probably a fine card to have here, huh? Well, I know that I have any trims I want to make, though. In 2 years, Sans Serif. Welcome back. On the expensive side, so we'll go duress you into tapped rebirth, duress you again. Ah, they always draw out of it yet. Never lucky. Never lucky. Yeah, JRR. A lot of turns. I need a second, please. Hold on. Just a minute. I'm doing a thing. I'm checking a thing. It actually is different. Someone said they were playing against Lest Epiphany and Best of One. And I believe you. So this is Best of 3. 25% Izzet Dragons. Best of 1 is only 8% Izzet Dragons. That's significantly less. Like, by a lot. That is a huge factor less. I mean, like, I played plenty of Best of 1 when this format was Standard 22, and it's still not Magic that I enjoy. Like, would I prefer to play a format that doesn't have a bunch of people taking extra turns? Sure, but I'd prefer they manage the format rather than... It's not about being a boomer. It's that it removes the two parts of Magic that I enjoy the most. The most skill testing and interesting parts of Magic, in my opinion, are sideboarding and mulliganing appropriately. Having to flip a coin every single game, asking yourself, hey, are they aggro and do I need to mulligan or not? Honestly, and it's honestly not even just sideboarding. Just getting to make intelligent mulliganing decisions during a match of Magic is so much more satisfying than your entire thing being decided by, well, I kept a hand that's good against control and they're playing aggro, or well, I kept a hand that's good against aggro and they're playing control. Like that type of very binary back and forth, it sucks. I don't find it fun at all. Spellbinder does give their Deluge 2 more looks, but it means they have to get to 6 mana, and they're currently choked on that. Like, if you enjoy Best of 1, like, don't let me yuck your yum, but it's just like, the game as Best of 1 fundamentally removes the aspects of Magic that really let me enjoy Magic. It's just not for me. It has nothing to do with being a boomer. I don't really like that about in fact, the other non-Magic games that have Best of 1, I only like them because they let you make mulliganing decisions in your one game. Hearthstone, Legends of Runeterra, Mythgard, basically every other digital card game lets you make intelligent decisions game 1 while mulliganing. What we exile here. Yeah, there's very few people, a majority of people I talk to that say they play Best of 1 are almost all, I only play Best of 1 because I'm time crunched when I play frequently. Nah, probably not without a rebalance, Yummy. I think even if I got really good at Absol, it's still much weaker than a lot of the other options. It's for the entire year, Adam. Welcome back. Absol is sweet, but I'd feel bad subjecting my teammates to me playing it. Yeah, economic reasons. They don't have wild cards for sideboards, another one. If you got to see their colors. I mean, something is better than nothing, sure. Is something better than nothing? Yes. Figured it out. Figured it out. Cracked the code. We're just dead here at this point, right? Like, they have a memory deluge to draw to. This definitely felt like I would not be surprised if this game was an average case scenario. They picked us apart with their interaction, and they just had way more card advantage than us. Our threats weren't particularly grindy or exciting, so we weren't able to grind through their 1-for-1s. I mean, I don't even know that I would call that polarizing so much as my deck just felt outclassed, right? Like, polarizing is when, like, you have a deck that's competitive and it just, like, has a bad matchup in a spot. I'm not convinced that our deck's competitive to begin with. So we're playing games to try and figure out. I think Can't Stay Away is probably worse than just having your 4-mana Cleric at the top end of your curve, Strange Journey. And we don't even want 4 of that in every matchup. The type of value Can't Stay Away generates doesn't really seem like it's particularly great in this format at the moment. We tried Can't Stay Away inside of Esper Witch as well and ended up cutting it by the end of that session. Because just, like, having another decent threat to play felt better than, like, waiting on your first threat to die. I don't know that you strictly need to be able to do that, JRR. There's a lot of aggressive decks that, like, don't have comeback potential. They just, like, get ahead and stay ahead. I think people who tend to be, like, Magic grinders want decks that can catch up because they want to feel like they could potentially be in every game, but a deck having a catch-up button isn't 100% necessary for a deck to be strictly competitive, I don't think. I think we're just using Awakener this turn. The, what's a good example? The blue-white tempo deck from Worlds that had a good amount of success the first weekend it was played. Like, a bunch of people played it, and it had an over 50% win rate. And that deck doesn't really have any catch-up potential in it. What are we trying to do with this deck? Cast Adversaries. Rats, chat. They didn't attack into my onboard trick. Never lucky. We have awoke the demon. And we hit kind of the full standard smorgasbord here, right? Like, we went through mono white into dragons into mono green now. So we're getting to see our pile of cards here in a little bit of every matchup. And again, we spent a lot of resources to flip this thing over, and they just spent 1 card and 1 mana to get rid of it. So it drew us a card at least, but very easily and effortlessly answered by the opponent here. Alright, it's a decent answer. So we have to go Chapel. And we'll chill on this for now, because if they have another fight spell, we can potentially get a 2-for-1 with it. If they want to be aggressive on the adversary. Double block one of these, exile the other, I think. So we got the 2-for-1. Worked out. Think we're being trolled, chat. I think we're being trolled. So when Bereaved Survivor attacks, we get to bring something with mana value 2 or less back from the graveyard to play. So if they attack here with both of these, I'm going to trade off for their trolls, and then we'll get to flip this. Then we can bring an adversary back and pump it up a bunch. Someone asked what's the point of the deck. That's kind of the point. Opponent didn't bite here, unfortunately. I imagine we'll get attacks out of them this next turn, though, because they'll want to draw a card with Werewolf Pack Leader. Okay, them spending their whole turn doing this seems good for us. Neat, Azintoth. 23rd is soon. So I can attack with this now and bring back the white adversary. And pump everything up +3/+3. Like, this interaction seems relatively powerful. Our opponent concurs. Perhaps we should... That seems like the good thing this deck is doing, right? So maybe after this game... we will retool, after this match, we'll retool a little bit, like cutting away some of these weaker cards that don't really see play elsewhere. But yeah, this interaction, Bereaved Survivor with these, that seems like constructed playable power level. It doesn't seem like a bad thing to be doing. I'm really not a fan of taking an existing stock good deck and just shoving a couple of cute cards in it. Is Ray to Oblivion strictly better than Baleful Mastery? I would encourage you, if you're someone that wants to grow as a Magic player, to remove strictly better from your vocabulary. So no, the sorcery speed card with flashback that requires you to sacrifice something is in no way, shape, or form anywhere close to being strictly better than a card that's just completely different. No, the tokens being generated are separate from the Black Adversary coming back into play. So it's definitely a land. Instead of me telling you you're right, Donkey Punch, can you be descriptive for me? Can you tell me why you think the black one seems worse? Do some noodling for me. Explain it. Just justify your position instead of me validating your position. This Delver of Secrets is strictly better than Fugitive Wizard. Sometimes you'll flip it by mistake when you didn't mean to. We jump here to flip the Survivor over. Yeah, but they're kind of different, right? Flunge. The death touch and higher defense on the other one is relevant too. Uncrustables are the only things above Lucario on the tier list. That's great. No, Vanishing verse this in response. That way if they have a protection spell, they have to crew it again to protect it. So if they have a protection spell, they can crew it again and then protect it. I'm all alone. There's no one here beside me. Alright, we did, fam. Yeah, we usually have Uncrustables in my house too, because the kids like them. If you've ever wondered why an Uncrustable is delicious, look at the sugar count in it. They are in fact delicious. I will not argue that point. But there's a reason they're delicious. It's funny, for a long time, Declan would ask me whenever Declan would be eating something, he'd ask me if it was healthy or not. And for a while, I would just respond to him. If he'd ask me if something was healthy, I'd be like, "Well, do you like how it tastes?" And he'd go, if he said yes, I'd be like, "Well, then yeah, it has sugar in it. That's why you like it." I'm gonna take my attack here. It's the part where they go 2-drop into Blizzard Brawl. I mean, this is kind of broke. Well, to be fair, fruits are delicious because they have natural sugars in them. obviously healthier for you than processed sugar, but the principle of the child likes it because it... Does the child like it while it has sugar in it is still very true. Yeah, I think a number of the choices in this deck feel a little bit suspect and underpowered, but this card with Bereaved Survivor with White Adversary seems genuinely good. Overconsume sugar? How un-American of you. Implying I can overconsume sugar. Ow. So they have a fight spell. Are they dead to this? They're dead to this, right? No, they can block and then fight? They can block and then fight, right? Yeah, they could double block here and then fight here and then only take 3. But then they're still dead to this in the air next turn. I guess I could draw like a Blizzard Brawl though. Yeah, they technically weren't dead there. Alright, let's take a peekaboo at this and see if we can increase the average card quality a smidge while still keeping the Bereaved Survivor Adversary package. So like, Can't Stay Away is kind of a mediocre card. Awakener and Chapel are kind of mediocre cards. So what do I want to do with this core from here? What are the supporting cast members that we want to fill in to potentially make this deck a little bit stronger? We could, so the problem with the blue-white suggestion is that I don't know that, I think we just kind of end up in a bad version of the blue-white tempo deck that was played at Worlds if we go in that direction. What if we leveraged, like, you know the package the snow decks played? What if we played like the Eye Twitch, Treasure Maker, Deadly Dispute type thing? Like, is that, yeah, the Gas Dispute package? Like, is something like this good? I guess we don't really have 5s at the top of our curve to really leverage taking advantage of this. Would be the thought. That's a cute idea. What if we did more humans and played Pyre? I kind of don't hate that. And this is probably still playable if we're looking at humans. Yeah, Brutal Cathar's a human. Aspirant's a human. Yeah, Sungold seems fine. That could be another question too. Is it worth playing black, or do you just want to be mono white? Because we have like I don't know, even without verse, so like similar to what we do in similar to what we did in the Cleric pod deck, we could like play some what's it called? Skyclave Apparition. It's like this happens to be a human cleric. So you can like play this as a land spell split card. And like, this happens to turn this into this if you need to in a pinch. Seems like a decent core of stuff. I don't hate this. And Faceless Haven's like, you know, there might be something to that Faceless Haven card, chat. Are there any other good one drops? I don't think so. We have plenty of twos. Like, mostly starting at 2 seems fine. I guess we could technically play some Luminarch veterans, too, if we wanted. I don't know if that's better than these other cards we're already playing. Just want a bunch of Reidanes in the sideboard for the spell-based matchups. Yes, yeah, when you pot into Brutal Cathar, if you didn't cast anything, it'll flip over on their turn, which is guess. What are other white or colorless sideboard cards? What sideboard cards does mono white typically play? Portable Holes, a good shout. And Commando. Commando's a human too. Oh, you know who's totally a human? There's the 2-drop that we play in the other deck I'd probably want a copy of. This is probably great to fish up a land with on occasion, and this is probably good. Honestly, a second one of these in the sideboard is good. I don't think Pithing Needle's actually good. Pithing Needling a Chariot seems real loose. It's like still gonna mess you up after the fact. Yeah, like, a lot of the cards people are saying that they like Pithing Needle for, like, you need to have it, like, those cards still generate some amount of value, right? So I don't know that that's actually, like, great to have Pithing Needle against. I was about to suggest Sungold Sentinel that I learned to read. God bless. All right, let's try this. And this is a good example of, like, when you're building decks and working on things, you want to not just be looking at your deck as a whole, but looking at, okay, what are the good individual things the deck is doing, and then look to try and maximize those inside of different things. You don't, when you're brewing, you don't want to be fully committed to the entirety of your deck so much as you want to have a core idea and then try and maximize that idea. And Survivor plus White Adversary seems legitimately good. So working to maximize that seems reasonable. Back in my day, we used Dino to hit GTA and we like it. That's not true. You use Manriki Gusari. Or you legend ruled their GTA. I like to name Faceless Haven whilst forgetting it also turns off my Faceless Haven. Phantasmal Image, chat, or as we like to call it, Blue Doomblade for Geist of Saint Trash. I think Geist would be a fantastic addition to Historic. It's a god-awful card that people love casting despite it being god-awful. It's exactly what Historic is about. So the 8 months CPU, welcome back. Oh, dragons are gonna eat us alive, fam. Oh god, Geist and blue-white auras sounds gross. Attack you with Goldspan Dragons. Cast Aldrin's Epiphany. Attack for lethal. Just another smoldering egg. Christmas come early, fam. Christmas has come early. I like the animation here on the hexproof plus can't be blocked by. Looks really nice. What's Geist? Geist is like a Delver of Secrets. It's actually also from the original Innistrad block. It's just like a pretty mediocre card that like lots of players latched onto and have an emotional attachment to. It's Geist of Saint Traft. This is what scary creatures used to look like. Yeah, maybe Juggalo. I'm just mostly of the opinion that I don't think any individual creature or answer to Aldrin's Epiphany that they could print will have an impact, because the Epiphany decks are combo control decks, right? They will very easily kill it. It's like, remember the stupid 1-3 that people played to try and stop Sultai Ultimatum, but the Sultai Ultimatum deck just like already had a bunch of removal spells in the main deck, right? Yeah, so like they'll just incidentally kill it because they're already playing a bunch of cards that incidentally kill things for their primary game plan. Yeah, Drannith Magistrate. Alright, I'm gonna bring in some Reidanes, and I'm gonna trim some of our other more expensive cards to keep the curve about the same here. So, for people asking, the next open, subs will get to vote on the format of the next open. We will not be running house band tournaments because house band tournaments are incredibly unpopular. There's always people that say they like the idea of house band tournaments, but then people don't show up to play in them, and people don't really watch them either. So, I actually really enjoy house band tournaments, but the metrics just aren't there. It's for the 2/3 of a year, Sir Missalot. It's not even just about house band tournaments make people brew, so they're harder that way. It's house band tournaments are difficult to test for because there's nowhere they could just join a queue with a deck that has the house bands legal, right? So it's not just a haha, people are lazy type thing. It's you know, people want to actually be able to easily test for the events that they're playing in. Like even the standard 22 tournament that we ran, that wasn't a real format, but it had a queue in client. The standard 22 tournament was actually the lowest metric open I've run outside of the custom ban list tournaments. Yeah, that too. We've talked about that a lot too, how a lot of people play events for the purposes of finding decks they want to play. So, you know, spectators aren't really interested in watching something or looking at the results of something if the decks aren't relevant to their lives. No, I only make low 6 figures per year. I can't afford to play Commander. Chat, Magic's expensive. You see this board game shelf behind me, chat? I would bet you could buy 2, maybe 3 entire shelves off of this thing for the price of like a competitive Commander deck. And yeah, there's casual play groups that are lower power level that you could technically play, but trying to coordinate that and get people to all build decks of appropriate power level sounds really tedious when you could just like open a board game that's ideally balanced. This activates at sorcery speed. Tell me the cost of your board game collection using Ragavans. Tell me the cost of your board game collection using Rag. Put it in a... You know, it's funny that you say that. So this'll... I'll never forget when Christy and I were first starting to get into board games after doing Magic for a while. My buddies and I used to always talk about board game prices in the context of how many Scalding Tarns they cost to buy. And it really made it easier to justify spending money on board games, because you're just like, well, it's like, this board game's only a third of a Scalding Tarn. It's no big deal. Thanks for the 5 months, Captain Gravity. Welcome back. Scalding Tarns are only $30 now. That can't be true. I was told Magic the Gathering cards are an investment in my future. What do you mean Scalding Tarn has gone down in price? Alright, I think we have died, chat. I think we have died. All right, let's try one more, but it might be time to getting close to time to throw in the towel with this one. The good news is this deck did take our rank and tank us down to a spot that feels more appropriate for Hoaglandia. We were like top 200 at one point this stream, and that just didn't feel right. It just ain't right, champ. Mythic percentages is where we belong. Are Power 9 not legal in EDH? I don't actually know what the ban list is. Can you play Mox in EDH or no? Just OG duels? Time Twister is. Okay. That seems fine. Although I don't even know if this counts as a controversial opinion, but LOL Soul Ring. LOL Soul Ring. Oh, Faceless Haven, you're really not free. Okay, this is good. I'm excited for the Skyclave Apparition that's about to take away my Luminarch. Oh, chat, they don't have it. That's so good for us. God, first strike, fam. Oh, we're gonna take 2 from the Stonebinder, though, here. Sedge. So a Farmhand. Grab a plains. Sack this. Grab Bereaved Survivor. Throw our counter here. Maybe I'm supposed to put the counter here actually, so that way I can block here once this is a 4/4. Just gonna go ahead and trade Aspirant here. Keep my life total high. Get back Farmhand here, grab another land. Spellbinder them back here for a blocker. Chat, sometimes you're just happier not knowing certain things in life. This is one of those moments. Alright, well, lands are not good for us, and spells are probably also not good for us. I'm in danger. Okay, so I'm pretty sure the sequence here is Luminarch, counter, attack for 2. Yeah, I think that's the plan, Ray. I think we just turn this into another Spellbinder, and then we hope that we can try and kill them before they get to 7. All right, Operation Be Unlucky, Be Lucky Not Unlucky is a go, chat. Repeat, Operation Be Lucky is a go. Roger Dodger over and out. This Goldspan Dragon card seems a lot less busted at 7 mana, chat. So our first strikers mean they don't have good attacks here, which is great for us. Stop exiling my stuff. I want to Intrepid here. It gives me a pretty quick clock, right? Oh, they didn't get rid of my Chaplain of Alms. That's nice. Well, we have to block. So we just Brutal Cathar, exile a thing. Then I'm gonna start attacking with... Yeah, let's just attack with both, because if they want to attack, I can trade. Oh, the creature land wasn't one that I was accounting for. Yikes. This is interesting. The original, apparently they had a 5-year-old draw the initial artwork, and then they had an artist like that's bad. It's definitely a choice though. It's different. Let's say different. Whew. Oh no, that's land number 6. Yikes. Okay, so this draw is, it's whatever. But what I can do now is we can pod this, which flips Bereaved Survivor. And then this will get us, honestly, probably just another Bereaved Survivor. And now I get to attack with this and bring back Intrepid Adversary. Should I have attacked with these two? Maybe I should have attacked with these two. So if they block with the goblin, it's a mistake on their part because the adversary is going to drop the toughness on my Avenger. So they only need to block the Spellbinder to my Avenger to be okay here. So I've grabbed Cathar and swung in the air. Well, I mean, this would have only been 6 in the air. I wouldn't be lifelinking in that case. Yeah, the combat math was kind of messy there, but I'm pretty sure my attack was right. Yeah, this card seems like this could be a card to keep an eye on as we get more cards out. Could have done off of there. Would that have been lethal? They would have had 2 blockers, and they would have gone to... Yeah, I think you're right. It would have forced 2 chump blocks. I think we're still good here regardless, but I think you're right. If this would have been a exile your thing. Hey, I'm glad you're liking him, protagonist. Thanks for the 38 months and the very generous tier 3. Welcome back. So something that's kind of funny is we can pod Faceless Haven into a 1-drop. I don't think we want to do that here, but it is, like, worth noting that that's technically a legal play. So you're dead. That was a heck of a slog. Being able to fish up a bunch of spellbinders there to put them off the dragons, obviously super instrumental in that win. Their deck has some similarities to ours. They're leveraging adversary like we are. Skyclave seems good for exiling a lot of their stuff. I think I want Fateful for dealing with gold spans. Destroying enchantments, exiling cards for graveyards doesn't really seem like it's likely to be useful here. Sungold Sentinels maybe the other cut for that reason. Yeah, that's the idea, Strange. I feel like it's a card that I might want to tutor on occasion. There's a chance that if you play more with it and you decide you're never searching for it, that you can cut it, but it seems like a low cost to include one. It's fine. Them having a 1-drop and we're on the draw is not the greatest for us. Ambitious Farmhand will trade with it though, which is nice. Then we'll curve into some removal spells. Or they just kept a 1-lander. That's sad. We're having a good game. First one was a good game of Magic. Sad that we're just not going to get to play here. Oh, you know what? I should just Skyclave Apparition the portable hole here is what I should do. It's fine. We can run that back this turn. Pretty happy to take this straight here. Downgrade their 3/2 to a 1/1. And then if my board lives through to next turn, this will put a counter on here, and then we can activate the Coven to flip it over. Agreed. I don't know about best draw, but one of the betters. I think our 3 mana, like, creature removal spells would have technically been better, like Skyclave or something like that, but definitely good to draw a removal spell there. Alright, you've earned yourself another match, Survivor Pod. I think Clerics is a very reasonable standard deck. I think its only matchup that's kind of trash is the dedicated Epiphany decks, but I think mono green, mono white, other creature decks, and even blue-red dragons you're pretty okay against. Yeah, 6 is fine. We'll bottom a land. Okay. Clerics doesn't really like mono black control either. I don't think that matchup's that bad. Your 4-drop, what's it called? Grinds them out nicely. Mono black is a matchup that people tend to have a lot of difficulty evaluating objectively because mono black feels bad to play against, even if your matchup against it is fine, just because, like, you just, like, your stuff always dies. The illusion of choice, fam. Lol Labby, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel this morning. Blue-white party. I saw Crookie's rocking a little bit of that. It's on my list to get to at some point. Laundry list of decks I want to give a try to in both standard and historic at the moment. Would have chosen to not pick either. Big brain, technically correct. I'm gonna go ahead and just trade these here, and then Brutal Cathar, their token. At 34 months, math teachers. I just clicked on the wrong thing. Yikes. Yikes, chat. Wait, are you sending us tonight? I don't know what Blade Historian does, so... Can someone pull up the text on that card? I gave the 4-drops a cursory skim, but... I'm gonna be honest, I didn't read that one in particular. Oh, I actually missed that one. Because it wasn't just... I only looked at mono-white ones. That's technically red-white. That's interesting. Yeah, that could be okay. No joke. Yeah, that sounds like a reasonable, very reasonable suggestion. Wow! What an unlucky beat. Burn down the house while we're exactly at 5. Rough. Yeah, Spellbinder's attacking for 6 is super reasonable, for sure. It also just makes it more difficult to block everything else. I think we're probably done here. You know, I mean... It's one of our better draws. What's going on, Blevins? Thanks for the 21 months. Welcome back. Well, so Burn Down the House is a sweet card because it's flexible, right? So it's a card that can catch you back up when you're behind in a creature matchup, like they were behind tier, but it's also a card that they can use when they're already ahead to just like make some tokens. Obviously, the rate on that tokens isn't strictly amazing, but you're paying for the flexibility there. So it's a catch-up card that also has some use when you just need a little bit of mustard instead. Skyclave sounds good. Probably don't need this Dorko. Just trim around the edges here a little bit. I want the portable holes. Let's give that a go. Stands fine. I think the Skyclave Cleric is a land here. Actual best draw on the deck. Close to it. think I just want to get Luminarch out of range of Burn Down the House. Getting this up to 5 has a lot of value. Even just for pressuring, and the next turn we can get it to 6 ideally and be relatively safe. If they attack with the Overlord, we'll get to block with this and flip the Bereaved Survivor. They need to both answer our large threats, but then also address our potential value engine here in Dauntless Avenger. It's been a reasonable day, Protostar. For the follow Seafarer, good afternoon. So this is still 3 CMC on the backside. It's the same on the front and back, so we can grab this with Skyclave Apparition. We're gonna put a 6th counter on the, or a 5th counter for a 6th point of toughness on the Luminarch Aspirant here. I think we just start powering up the next one. I think I'm notably not attacking Bereaved Survivor in here, because if they kill Skyclave, I don't want them to block it with the token. Attack with this one though, because if they kill this, then when I kill my Skyclave inside of combat, that's fine for us. Down to 5. They missed their land drop last turn, so they can't sweep us this next turn, which is nice. A hard time imagining how they catch back up from here. Anything they kill at this point just flips the Survivor over. Yeah, and being on the play confirmed good. Mulligan. Mediocre 6, but definitely a keep. Not going to 5. They have white lands in their deck. Did we see white cards either the first 2 games? I feel like it didn't. Yeah, it could be Showdown or maybe something like Reidane to slow down the Epiphany decks. We'll find out what a white card. Yeah, Brutal Cathar is could be a good one as well. They're a werewolves deck. Naya Wolves is also on my list of things to try at some point. about some more. And like, if they just like do nothing here, we just like fire up Faceless Haven attack for 5, right? Had to come up with my sub with my moving. I haven't had time to catch a live one, but the new YouTube setup has given me content to keep up with Oaklandia. Hey, awesome! I'm glad you're enjoying it. Thanks for the tier 2. That's very generous of you, Reaper. Hope your move is going swell. I know that can be stressful at times. Their priority here is probably from Lair of the Hydra. So 24 Munchnookums, welcome back. Oh shoot, I forgot this was gonna flip back. It's fine. We'll Brutal Cathar them back and get our thing next turn. So they missed their land drop here, right? So I can go Skyclave Apparition, take your Brutal Cathar. Oh, this actually doesn't work. Because of this, I have to pay 1 more to target this. I was gonna say I could take this, and then I could pod this into a thing, into a Spellbinder. Which I think I'm still doing. Alright, they do have land 7 here. We see some of that kind of awkward tension with Burn Down the House in their Brutal Cathar here. No, if you Cathar, you get your stuff back. We're playing like this really awkward game of chicken. Okay. Oh my god, I missed activating Faceless Haven. So I want to draw untapped land here so I can double Cathar this turn. Well, Cathar into Portable Hole. And then the way these triggers work, active players' triggers go on the stack first, so non-active players' triggers resolve first. So both of these are going to transform back, but mine will exile theirs before theirs can exile mine. I'll get my friends back. This does go sideways if their card in hand is another burn down the house, which it could be based on the fact that they played out that other one kind of aggressively. Yeah. It's a good beat. I saw that. Look sweet, Gengar. So... do this into this. Okay. God, their top of their deck has been real hot. We'll start here and see what we find. Hey, thanks for the 2 months, Arbitrary Voice. And remember, if you're looking for quick catch-ups on some of the better things that I've played, the new Daily Deck Digest. Post 1 video per day. That's kind of the best of the best. Yikes. Yeah. So. This deck was cute. Definitely does not feel like it has quite the power level to keep up with what's going on. The one main interaction that we had that we started with in the original black-white list of Bereaved Survivor and Intrepid Adversary did seem kind of neat, but there might be other things to explore around it, but I'm not sure if we just have the appropriate tools to put around this at the moment to make it competitive against the other things in the format. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that this is something that I would explore too much more. It feels, while this felt powerful when we happened to get it to work, I don't know that it was good enough to make up for kind of the number of hoops we had to jump through to get to it, if that makes sense, I think, is the best way to phrase it. Like, there's better ways in the format to generate similar or more value out of your cards for less work, I think would be the concise way I would put it into. I mean, I don't even know that, like, you need, like, the pod aspect to go bigger, because, like, a lot of these threes I'm not really super excited to be sacrificing. But just the core idea of this, like, is good when it gets going, but it's work to set up. Yeah, that's the other thing, too. At the core, our best draws were just beating people down, and at that point, we were just kind of like a clunkier version of mono white. I think is a really good / astute observation. All right, I'm going to go ahead and